All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. See if we see that it has BSS, aka boudoir search sameness, with these two Google searches here. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. For fallen, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers, searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. And that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water for on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So for 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance. Or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically, they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was basically was, when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page 1 slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page 1, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't ever going to see us because they're page 1 only. And then for 1 slot on page 1, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has 1 slot on page 1. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, SQ'd methodology. We know this is the solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in 10 days. Google page 1 search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page 1 or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us a higher chance Google puts us at Google page 1. So the SQ'd methodology, to use it, we have to accept page 1 equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution we can use? SQ'd methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page 1 Google, but we employ SQ'd methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market's more and more saturated, we stay dominating page 1, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. Approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once you're with SQ'd methodology, we have page 1 visibility. Page 1 visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page 1, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page 1, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page 1, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page 1, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page 2. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. 0 slots on page 1. We don't have 1 slot on page 1. We do not have 2 slots on page 1. Well, 2 slots on page 1 means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1. And we want to hit that because we actually if we got 3 out of 10 on page 1, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link. And very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality, the false belief of page 1 equality. And we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we've got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. So now we're going to look at this boudoir photography business. Going to check. So all this is based on the Google page one searches here. So we got these 2 Google searches. Let's check these out. So first one, we got boudoir photographer. Is that the first one? No, I think. Oh no, St. Augustine should be the first one. I got to do St. Augustine here. Boudoir photography, St. Augustine. St. Augustine. And there we go. All right. So let's see what we got here. Look for a supernova. There we go. So we got they got 1 slot. And all right, we got 2 slots here. Wedding wire. Yeah. We do not have BSS, so we got 2 slots here. That's fine. That's good. We perfect. Now we've not hit the GBC minimum. We want to have 3 out of 10 here, but hey, we do not have BSS for the search, so that's good. Now we want to hit the GBC 3 out of 10 minimum because that's kind of the only safe time we can say, hey, we're not going to disappear, we're not going to decline. We may not grow, but we'll probably at least tread water. So no BSS, but we're not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 here. Let's check our Jacksonville, Florida. All right, so still looking for the same supernova. So we got 1. And nope. All right, none of these are specifically about us only. We got 1 out of 10. So we got BSS for the second search at Jacksonville, Florida. Bigger city. So BSS is more common in the bigger cities, obviously, more keyword competition. So we do not have BSS for St. Augustine, Florida. That's good, but we did not meet the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. But we do have BSS for the Jacksonville, Florida search, and we also did not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. All right, so you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local searches, you've done your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, and you've had 0 or 1 slots. So you've had BSS for at least 1 of those, and or you have not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google for any one of those, and you've accepted the false belief of page 1 equality. So you actually know Google wants to give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to take, and you're seeing S-cube methodology is the only way forward, the only path forward to acquire all those slots. It's actually, you've been waiting for something like this, and you're liking the initial benefits of S-cube methodology, more slots page 1 on Google. You really like that page 1 on Google. You actually really can kick your competitors off page 1 on Google, effectively making them invisible or making them disappearing and making their business go down the path to disappearing. So you really like that. And you actually want, actually looking ahead because you understand market saturation and you're realizing that AI is going to be taking more and more people's jobs. So not only do you need these slots on Google, you actually need to overslot on Google. You need to fortify your position for all of the new boudoir photographers that are going to be entering the marketplace. And as a result, the only solution you can see that'll help you fortify your position on page 1, literally get like so many links to page 1 that Google can't even rank all your links on page 1, and they push you back to taking over page 2 and 3 and 4 because you got so many page 1 backup links. The only solution you see that can provide that benefit is S-cube methodology, basically fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's below sea level, so fortifying it against the ocean. You're fortifying this against current boudoir photographers getting anywhere on page 1, and also any future boudoir photographers or AI is taking their jobs, force them to become boudoir photographer, ever ranking page one as well. And you want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility because you know you need these things on your way to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. You also understand SQ methodology is basically building invisible thematic keyword columns on the, kind of out in cyberspace, basically in the AI mindshare in cyberspace, kind of have these columns connected to your brand, your business name, your social handles out there in cyberspace where AI really cares about, repetition, relevance, frequency, authority, age of all these invisible thematic keyword columns. And every day we successfully execute SQ methodology and grow those columns, increase those columns, we're increasing the probability we show up here, AI overview, which means we're also increasing which is the most premium search placement there is. Cannot pay for this. And we're also increasing the probability that AI search recommends us. And we don't get any of these benefits paying for any ads. This is only through S-cubed methodology. And increased probability AI search recommends us. And that'd be things like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, kind of increase in probability we show up in these searches, which these searches increase every single day in usage. I remember last time I searched ChatGPT for boudoir photographers in a city, it gave me 3. And I actually went and did a manual Google and search and Facebook search. And dude, there's like 60. It's like, man, we got to find some way to get one of these 3 slots. And yeah, SQ methodology is the only solution you see out there that does increase that probability every day that we successfully execute it. And you're also like in that, it can help you create a large, well-known brand, approximately 8x faster than every other method. So the market saturation becomes less and less a problem for you. And imagine if you continue using SQ methodology when you have a large, well-known brand, essentially be, unbeatable. And you also understand that my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. And so as a result, you're liking that you can get all these benefits, but also exclude your competitors from getting all these benefits. And you can actually build up, you can kick them off their first pages, Google, fortify page one against them to never actually increase, never actually get back onto page one, essentially. And you can also build up such a large kind of gap with the backend AI mindshare with those keywords, those invisible thematic keyword columns, that your competitors in the city really have no chance to ever catch up to you. So you decide to be a first mover and actually acquire all these things, all these benefits, and exclude your competitors from getting all these benefits. And you understand the converse, where if one of your competitors in your city was a first mover and signed out with me before you, they'd be getting all these benefits. You'd be kicked off page one on Google, maybe even page 2, relegated, way deep in the catalog. Definitely be disappearing. You would definitely be a disappearing boudoir photographer. We'd then be fortifying it, page one against you ever climbing back on there. We'd be building the back end AI keyword mindshare for your boudoir photography competitor in your city, building up their brand, building up a gap so large that basically no other competitor, including you, could ever reach them. And in order to compete with that, you would have to rederive SQ methodology all on your own. And once you rederive that all on your own, you'd never actually be 100% confident you derived it correctly. You would actually have to then go successfully execute every single day, same as us. And then when you do that, the most that you'll get is you would maintain the gap me and your competitor have already built in front of you because you'd be equaling our output each day. So you'd have to actually 2 to 3x our effort every single day, but it'd be hard to commit that much time because, again, you're not even 100% confident you've derived the strategy correctly in the first place. And, to do all this, who's got 80 hours in the day? So you're deciding, screw that. You decide you're going to be the first mover in your city. And as a result, that's you. Shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed because the hospital is currently closed for new patient intake. But when the hospital does reopen for new patient intake, shoot us a DM, and we will see if you qualify to utilize our S-cubed methodology.